Hello and welcome to a new video. It is the end of the year. When I'm filming this, it is actually New Year's night. It just is a little bit past midnight and I needed to get some pre-filming done. So I wanted to go through my year in books, everything I read in 2024. I'm going to look at the Goodreads review, the Goodreads Wrapped, if you will, and go through that, and then just kind of briefly go through the books I read later in the year as well, because I don't think I've done a wrap up for October, November, or December. So let's get into it. 2024, my year in books. I read 35,622 pages, apparently, over 102 books. My shortest book was All by My Elf by Olivia Dade. That was 55 pages. That was one of the Christmas novellas Amazon published that I read recently. And my longest book was House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, which was 105 pages. I didn't even realize that I had read that in this year, to be honest. I read that, I guess, really early on in the year. In my head, it feels like so long ago. I honestly thought it was last year. But average book length in 2024 is 349 pages. That sounds about right. My most shelved book is A Court of Thorns and Roses. There's 5, is that 5 million? I think it is. People have shelved that, doesn't surprise me. My least shelved book is the poetry collection that I created and created the listing for on Goodreads myself, if that makes sense. 8 people have shelved that. You're welcome. In like 3 or 4 of those are family members, but that's okay. Average rating is 4.7. I rate most books pretty high. I don't take rating too seriously. Highest rated is a little bit skewed. It's my poetry collection, but that's because 3 people have read reviews or wrote reviews, and they're all, it's me and like 2 friends. So that's okay. My first review of the year, I will say I did really well with writing reviews. A lot of the times I'll just write a pro-con list for my reviews, but I'm writing them. So my first review, this was of my book club book in January, I believe. That was Queerly Beloved by Susie Dumond. And I finished this last night. It was a fun read, but not an all-time favorite. The pros: cute characters, great representation, lots of baking. The cons: weird pacing, not enough chemistry between the characters. Book was sold as a romance, but the romance is more of a secondary plot than anything. And I stand by that. At this point, I barely remember the plot of this book. Definitely is not one I would ever return to. It was fine, but it wasn't great. So let's get into all the books. I'm just gonna read them, and if it lets me see it, it's not showing me the ratings for all of them for some reason. So I'll just read you all the titles. I started the year with a reread of Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I read Queerly Beloved by Susie Dumond. I read Gear Breakers by Zoe Hannah Makuta. One of my bigger disappointments of the year. It looked like a really cool book, but ended up just being way too confusing, and the pacing was just weird. I read Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. I read Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I read Volume 4 and 5 of Lore Olympus. I read House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. Loved it. I read The Heiress Hunt by Joanna Shoup. I read the graphic novel The Prince and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich by Dea Munez. And I read Coven by Jennifer Dugan and Kit Seaton, another graphic novel. Those were both okay. I wrote Poetry Collection in March and put it on my own Goodreads. I read The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness. Adore, love. I read Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I read When in Rome by Sarah Adams, one of my top books of the year. I read Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. I read Barbarian's Touch by Ruby Dixon. That was a reread. It is my favorite in the series thus far, and I just felt like rereading it because why not? I read Beach Read by Emily Henry, my first Emily Henry book. I did really like it. It's not an all-time favorite, but I did really like it. I read Baby Moon or Bust by Ava Hunter. I read The Aloha Butterfly Kiss by Brooke Gilbert. That one I was sent to read for review and ended up enjoying it, but I had some comments that I don't remember now. I read Radiance by Grace Draven, which was a surprising disappointment for me. I liked it, but I did not love it, which I was surprised because it's got such rave reviews usually. And then I read a series I read Ranger, Archer, Hunter, and Gunner by Rebecca Sharp. I will caveat this with, I rated these all 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed all of these books, but since reading them, I have been told about some more than questionable things about the author. Obviously, there's no like way to completely prove everything that has been said, but there was a blog post from a different author whose name is escaping my mind right now, that a lot of Rebecca Sharp's work is potentially plagiarized. I don't know how real or not real that is, but that's just something to keep in mind. Do your research. I definitely don't know if I will like be reading more of her books. I need to research the whole situation more. But unfortunately I read quite a lot of her books this year and I enjoyed every single one, so we'll see. Anyway, I reread Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, which I very much enjoyed. I read Time's Convert by Deborah Harkness, continuing my Discovery of Witches read. Adored this one. I read a poetry collection called Watering the Soul by Courtney Peppernell. It was okay. In the summer of Bridgerton, I read Romancing Mr. Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. I stand by my past assessments that Julia Quinn, I appreciate that she's bringing historical romance to the mainstream with the Bridgerton adaptation, but I do not think she's a very good writer when you compare her to some of the other Paramounts that are in the historical romance writing community. I think there are other series that much would have been better to adapt. But anyway, like Tessa Dare, I read When a Scot Ties the Knot. Absolutely loved it. I read A Lady's Guide to Mischief and Mayhem by Amanda Collins, another favorite author in the historical romance world of mine. I reread, I don't know if this was a reread or a new read, but I read Miles Morales by Cody Ziegler. In my Storygraph, like stats, Cody Ziegler is one of my top authors. I guess I just happen to read a lot of comics by him. I read The Good Girl's Guide to Rakes by Eva Lee. I read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I just want to say Hannah Bohm Carter, whatever her name is. I read When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole, one of my least favorite books of the year. This was the nail in the coffin for me, pun intended. I am not reading thrillers anymore. I cannot do it. I do not like any of them. I need to stop trying. This was the last one. I haven't read any since then. I do not plan on it. I thought maybe because Alyssa Cole is a romance author, it would make it a little more enjoyable. It didn't. I didn't like this book. Anyway, I read Carnage Range, which is a Venom Carnage comic by Alex Packnadell. I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which was good, but not half as good as Beach Read. I read Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon, which I really enjoyed. I read Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, one of my top books of the year, one of my top contemporary romances of all time. I read Remember Arizona by Rebecca Sharp. I read The Lady Gets Lucky by Joanna Shupe, one of my all-time favorite authors. I read The Irish Fall by Brooke Gilbert. That was another book I was sent in to review, and I did enjoy that one. I started a cozy mystery series. Let's just read 5 of them. I don't remember what order they go in, but I read Sprinkle with Murder, Buttercream Bump Off, Death by the Dozen, Red Velvet Revenge, and Going Ganache by Jen McKinley. Love this series. Plan on finishing it in the new year. I read The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. I did a reread of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas with the intention of finishing the series as a reread. Never picked up the rest of them. Maybe I will this year. I read My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, another one I enjoyed. I read Do You Want to Start a Scandal by Tessa Dare, and then continuing my cozy mystery series, I read Sugar and Ice, Dark Chocolate Demise, and Vanilla Bean by Jen McKinley. On a beach trip, I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis, which was one of my biggest surprises of the year. I didn't know if I was going to like that book, and I actually adored it. And then I also read Drunk on Love by Jasmine Guillory on that trip. Again, cozy mysteries. I read Caramel Crush and Wedding Cake Crumble by Jen McKinley, and I think that's where I have left off. We'll see. I read a 1960s romance, which was fun, by Stardust by Emma Barry. I read Night Shift by Annie Crown. I read People We Meet on Vacation, another Emily Henry book. If we're talking rating them, it goes beach read, People We Meet on Vacation, and then book lovers, I think. I like Emily Henry, but I don't think I love Emily Henry like some people do, and that's okay. I read, I think, what is my best series of the year? I can't decide. Carry On, Wayward Son, and Any Way the Wind Blows by Rainbow Rowell. I'll talk more about that in my best books of the year video. I read You Will Get Through This Night by Daniel Howe, another one of the best books, and I think my only nonfiction of the year. And then I picked up the Crave series by Tracy Wolff. I read Crave, Crush, Covet, Court, Charm, and Cherish. Can't say enough good things about this. I love this series so much. One more cozy mystery. I read Dying for Devil's Food by Jen McKinley. Continuing Tracy Wolff, I started her new series, Sweet Nightmare by Tracy Wolff. The sequel is not out yet, but will be out on my birthday next year. This year, 2025. I read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore. I read The Roommate Pact by Allison Ashley. I reread the comic book The Children's Crusade by Alan Heinberg, my favorite comic of all time. It's my favorite. I love it. I read Zodiac Academy, The Awakening by Caroline Peckham, which, as someone who is usually very easily pleased when it comes to book, I just love like a candy type of book where it doesn't have to take itself too seriously. It doesn't have to be flowery, like amazing writing. I don't really care about all that stuff. But this book, regardless, was still so bad. I don't remember what I rated it, but I couldn't find any redeeming qualities. I guess the magic world, the world it's set in, I liked. Didn't like a single character or the plot, so I don't think I'll be continuing those. I read May the Best Man Win by Z.R. Eller, which was a really good book. This was a first time read. I read the Scarlet Witch series, The Last Door by Steve Orlando. That's volume 1. I read all of the Amazon Christmas novellas by romance authors, which includes Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey, Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood, All by My Elf by Olivia Dade, Only Santa's in the Building by Alexis Daria, and Merriment and Mayhem by Alexandria Bellfleur. Of those, I think Cruel Winter with You is my favorite, but I also did enjoy Only Santa's in the Building. I enjoyed all of them, but they're novellas. Another novella, actually, I read In Which Margot Halifax Earns Her Shocking Reputation by Alexandra Vasti. I do think I'll be continuing that series. It was a really fun historical romance novella. I read Last Chance Books by Kelsey Rodkey. Adored it. YA romance. I read a poetry collection, She Followed the Moon Back to Herself by Amanda Lovelace. I liked it, didn't love it, but I do like Amanda Lovelace. I read the Eras Tour concert picture book, then I put it on my Goodreads. I read Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, which is also easily one of my best books of the year. Honestly, anyone who's saying that if they don't like it, I think you just hate fun. It's so good. It's so good. I cannot wait for Angstorm. I will have a release party vlog, and I'm going to do a reading vlog for that, and I'm so excited. I literally cannot even explain it. I read Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood. I read Baking It Merry by Samantha Chase. Super cute holiday romance. I read Hockey Girl Loves Drama Boy by Faith Erin Hicks. Cute graphic novel. I read Iron Flame. It killed me. It killed me. I need the third book yesterday. Anyway, I read Steve Orlando's Volume 2, which was Scarlet Witch. It doesn't have a title. Or Magnum Opus. And then Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver is Volume 3. Loved all of those. Can't wait for Volume 4 to be published. I know the individual issues have already been published, but not the bind-up. And I'm not sure if all the issues have been published, but I read The Nightmare Before Christmas by Sarah Rash, which was literally the cutest book ever. I can't decide if I want to live in Christmas land or if I want to live in Halloween land. I loved them both equally. And I just love the characters. I love the magic. I love the world. Love the chemistry. 10 out of 10. I read The Highland Hearts Holiday Bookshop by Trisha O'Malley. That one was pretty cute. I read Christmas Land by Anne Marie Meyer, which was also pretty cute. And then I finished off the year with a 5-star read. I read This Blood That Binds Us by S.L. Coakley. Love it. I'm currently reading the sequel. My last review of the year, I guess I didn't write one for This Blood That Binds Us, but my review is love it. For my Christmas Land review, I wrote my prose, very cute and Christmassy. Cons, the story was a bit rushed and characters a bit one-dimensional. I stand by that. It was cute, it was fluff, but it wasn't anything revolutionary. And the Hallmark movie adaptation, not the greatest, but that's okay. So that is everything I read in 2024. I hope you enjoyed. I can't wait to read 100 more books in the new year. So thank you for watching. I really am looking forward to all the booktube content I can post in this year. It's something that I'm passionate about and something that I want to focus on this year. So I hope you stick around. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!